things. I was wondering if you think we were talking about the Biden administration and like their failures on $15 minimum wage.
Song kind of sounds like an emo kid defending his favorite band. He's wearing the band's t-shirt and his arguments are queued up and ready to go. I mean, I agree with the early stuff, but is better. But I don't really like that sold out after signing a major label. What? Having power and refuse to wield it in the face of injustice and adversity may as well be complicity. What do we expect for them to do? What we put them there, fight, not go along to get along? The Door fans are angry that Krystal and Kyle are not validating their emotions in this clip. Bunch of parasocial Andes. In 5 minutes, Hasan went from not knowing what the squad can do to leverage power to agreeing with Kyle that the squad has squandered opportunity to choose to leverage power. I appreciate the leftist YouTube media bubble, but the lack of clear conviction and urgency to hold politicians accountable. Okay, Weirdo Andes, if you just say you don't watch my fucking stream, like I literally yell about the squad not doing enough as well. In this conversation that I'm having, I was referencing that like people's expectations of like the squad dismantling American imperialism is relatively silly. And for the most part, same criticisms can be launched towards Bernie Sanders as well. I mean, I literally criticized the AOC yesterday. Not saying that like they're doing the most, which is precisely why I agreed with Kyle in the end of this. All right,
do you think the criticisms of the squad and the sort of more leftist members of the House and the Senate has been justified, or do you think it's been too harsh?
I don't know what otherwise like anti-electoralist leftists like I don't know what they expect from the squad beyond like, you know, clippable moments like the ones that Ilhan Omar, who is incredibly fucking brave, gets to have, where she'll like, you know, ask a normal question to Anthony Blinken, and then the entire reactionary media circuit will just like unload onto her and be like, this, you know, Muslim woman wearing a hijab is actually an anti-Semite. I promise you, please believe us. But like beyond that, like what are they supposed to do? I mean, look, I don't know where you guys even fall on the force to vote stuff when it was first happening.
Yeah.
But I said something along the lines of like I wanted to force the vote on at least even the public option. Like if we're gonna do symbolically push for something, I would have much rather had like someone who could potentially replace Pelosi, right? Without a replacement. It's like that is not even a hollow victory, it's a hollow defeat. And obviously that takes time, and like, you know, you have to work through the party infrastructure to have your troops ready basically for that opportunity. But I wanted to push a public option at least. Like, why are we not even talking about the public option now?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want Medicare for all. I want a fully nationalized healthcare system. I think that is the best possible way, is the most ethical way to go about it, and that's the best possible way to go about it. But I think Medicare for all was a good stepping stone towards that. Okay, like some form of comprehensive, single-payer, universal healthcare. But we're having a hard time expanding Medicare at this point. Like Medicare eligibility. Getting lowered to 55 is out of the question now. Now we're talking about like, you know, or even lower than that. Like it's ridiculous to me that like we have this expectation that like the squad is going to be a bunch of magicians that somehow magically are able to craft legislation. I mean, they definitely mess up. I know like Kyle tracks them very closely, and
let me interject.
Great suggestions always, but ultimately, like, I don't know what they're supposed to do.
So let me interject because I just want to break it down for you. So first, I want to separate some things out. There are criticisms that I think are totally illegitimate, and I think it undermines the cause of people who are going after the squad from the left. And the criticisms that I think are illegitimate is when anybody brings up something like corruption, or anybody brings up, they're just like Pelosi. If you can't see the difference between AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Jamal Bowman, and Pelosi, you're just dense. Like you're a sloppy, unnuanced thinker. And so that annoys me. And the other thing, the corruption thing annoys me because words have to have meaning, guys. And corruption means you're taking money from donors and you're doing the bidding of the donors. if you think that's the case with the Justice Democrats, you're just factually wrong. They're not taking money and they're not doing the bidding of donors. However, so those are the criticisms I think are totally illegitimate, and I wish everybody would stop making them because I don't think people understand how dumb they look when they make those criticisms. Okay? The criticisms that I think are legit are the following. So yes, when they tried to do force the vote over Medicare for all, they didn't lift a finger on that front and they didn't agree with it. Okay, fair enough. The response from AOC was interesting, though, because she said, I don't want to do it on Medicare for all because there's no chance of us passing Medicare for all. We have to keep our powder dry for something where it could actually work. And she brought up $15 minimum wage for that. Then the fight came up over $15 minimum wage, and they instantly folded, and they didn't do dick.
True.
And they had the ability to block all legislation and say, we're not voting for anything unless it has $15 minimum wage in there. Now, if they were to do that, the media would have rained holy hell on them. The Democratic leadership would have rained holy hell on them, and they would have said, you're in league with the Republicans, and you're obstructing and helping them. But if you had a spine and you knew how to fight, you could say, that's bullshit. I'm blocking this from the left, and if you want us to vote for it, it's not on me. It's on Biden. It's on Manchin. It's on the Senate Democrats who are against it. Put the $15 minimum wage in there. It polls at fucking 70% or whatever it polls at. Everybody wants this. There's even some polls where Republicans want it. So who are we kidding? We're fighting for the American people, and Democratic leadership isn't, and the Republicans aren't. And so they didn't fight on that. Where they're failing, it's a very simple answer. Here's where they're failing. They were sent there to do Tea Party tactics. They're not doing Tea Party tactics. They're fucking trying.
The white dude saying they don't have his spines is not a good look. Man, I don't give a fuck about looks, okay? Shut the fuck up.
Trying to play the inside game and try, like, if I'm nice to Pelosi and I'm nice.
People don't understand, like, Kyle's background and, like, what he's done and how much responsibility he could potentially take for, like, even AOC's political career starting off as a consequence of, like, the Justice Democrats. And you're over here talking about spines and shit. Like, shut up. Fuck your optics.
To leadership, maybe they'll give me some crumbs of change and I'll like that. That's not going to fucking work. It's never worked, which is why we sent you there with the Tea Party idea.
Here's the difference, okay? He's going to talk about the Tea Party stuff here, and there is some stuff that I wanted to talk about here, but that I just didn't, and
in mind, because when the Tea Party did it, it fucking worked. They got a lot of their priorities because they made John Boehner fucking hate them just as much as the Tea Party Republicans hated the Democrats. They hated Republican leadership, and they shifted that Overton window to the right.
Kyle is responsible, yeah, sure. What are you talking about? Kyle and Cenk literally built up the Justice Democrats. The fuck are you guys talking about? Now they're no longer associated with the Justice Democrats because they canceled Cenk after the right-wing op, or centrist and center-right op, that, like, exposed Cenk as a terrible person or whatever the fuck. But, like, they literally founded the Justice Democrats, dude. Man, what the fuck? What? Yo, Jesus Christ. He's expecting these young women to martyr themselves? Okay. Hey, quit it with the baby gloves, you fucking weirdos in the chat. These are representatives, okay? They're not your girlfriend. Like, stop with this, like, oh, they're expecting them to martyr themselves. No, Kyle is expecting them to fight, and he's correct. Now, there is more nuance to it than just like, oh, they're not fighting as hard as they should for us, specifically as it pertains to a comparison to the Tea Party. The Tea Party here is not the best comparison because the Tea Party's goals are pretty much aligned with the rest of the Republican Party. And also aligned with American politics in general, which is less government, tax cuts for the wealthy. They don't really give a shit when it comes to, like, you know, America's endless imperial affairs. So that's precisely why the Tea Party can get away with that. And also the Tea Party is an opt, as we know, created by billionaires that also fund the Republican Party. So the very same the very same amount of power and media coverage that the Tea Party gets is never going to be extended to, for example, the progressives, because the progressives don't have an MSNBC style massively popular propaganda outlet that is going to legitimize them no matter what they do. The progressives have us, okay? The Progressive Caucus, the Squad, they only have me, they have Kyle, they have Krystal, they have, 12 people on the internet with an audience, the fraction, with an audience that collectively is not even a fraction of what Fox News gets. That's it, okay? That's the difference, and that's a gigantic difference, and that's the reason why Fox News can dictate what goes on in the American political conversation.
As much as I love the Justice Democrats, and it breaks my heart to say it, They just haven't done the thing that we sent them there to do. So that would be like the substantive criticism of them. How do you respond to that?
I 100% agree with what you're saying. I think that I think that there is more that they could do as far as like utilizing their incredible media credentials. Like they're very good. They're savvy. Like they're really fucking savvy. They know how to use social media really well. They know how to utilize the media really well. I wish they would do more of that to at least like, you know, to instill certain messages back to the American people, like to educate the American people as best as they possibly can by even in certain instances blocking legislation and looking like a bottleneck for progress for showcasing that like these are positions that we have as the left. So you are right on that. I think that they should be fighting harder on certain issues, especially like $15 minimum wage.
All I want is for them to fight as hard for things like $15 minimum wage as Josh Gottheimer will fight for like the SALT tax cap. You know, like
yeah, oh for sure.
They're willing to go so hard for like we will not increase corporate tax rate, or we will not, you know, we must have this tax cut for our rich constituents in our district. The right-wing Democrats are so willing to draw red lines that they actually stick to, and I just haven't seen that happen a single time from the left.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, think about the entire conversation around Joe Manchin. It's like part of it is because like everybody loves to look at politics like it's a sport. So we analyze the districts and you know states. Like Joe Manchin is not supposed to be. They're not supposed to be a Democrat in West Virginia. It's plus 35 Trump state. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy that Joe Manchin is there. So we have to like sit there and have him play this song and dance, do his like own personal branding project. Same with Kirsten Sinema, but like Arizona's a little different now. But still, and I wish that like that conversation would not just shift over to AOC and Ilhan Omar because of their obstructionist positions in certain times, but also the reasons as to why they're engaging in this action. Because like when you ask Joe Manchin, like, why are you doing this? Like, why don't you want to increase minimum wage? Like, he has no fucking answers for that.
There's more too. There's a lot more that I talked about. I don't know why people are shitting on me in this clip if I'm like agreeing with. Very happy to see Kyle and Hasan repair after the free speech debate. Wait, Kyle and I have always been friends regardless of our disagreements on certain things.